Hi, I'm James and welcome to OnLevel UK. Today we're going to show you just how simple it is to install our FLEXFIT mounting system in our TL6000 profile. Here's the best part. No matter which profile you choose, the glass installation method always stays the same. The only thing that changes is your glass thickness, and that's it. This is how our FLEXFIT kit comes to you. Each kit is available in a 5m or a 2.5m length and supports glass thicknesses from 12mm to 31.5mm. Covering all balustrade loadings from 0.36 kN to 3 kN. No matter what the project is, these kits are compatible with all of our profiles, from our compact mini profile to our heavy duty 3 kN profiles. Inside the box we have fitting instructions which show you what comes with the kit, the setup and the sensors of the FLEXFIT system, and what parts go where and in what order. So let's get into the install. First we need to mark out the profile centre line on the floor using a chalk line. This enables you to see the centre line of the profile through the fixing holes to make sure everything is straight and true. Now it's time to mark the holes through the profile. Another top tip here, I like to use a marksman point marker or a tracer pen, as this allows you to be a little bit more accurate when you're marking deep down into the profile onto the floor. So once we've marked out the holes, we can then go ahead and drill the floor, ready to fix the profiles down into place. Because the FLEXFIT system is adjustable, there is some tolerance allowed when setting the profiles up, but best practice is to make sure that it's flat and level wherever possible. Once the profile is in place and you're happy with the level, we can start setting up the FLEXFIT kits. First, you set up the sliders or the glass carriers starting from one end of the profile, following the instructions on the box. 156mm to the centre of the first one, and then 312 to the centre of the next one thereafter. These will follow across the whole profile no matter what the size of the glass is. A great tip here is to use a marking gauge with the sensors already marked on. This makes it a quicker and more efficient way of laying the FLEXFIT kits out. These measurements are the maximum widths between the carriers and not a minimum, so the adjustments can be made if for a smaller glass size or a smaller profile. Once the carriers are installed, the back gasket or the B gasket then goes on. It just pushes into the small rebate over the top of the carriers. When you get to a corner or an end cap, just cut a 45-degree end or a stop end and tuck it into place. Then start again with the next piece on your return. If access to the outside or the fall inside is limited, I would remove the outside protection tape at this point before installing the glass. So now you're all set for the glass to be installed. A quick tip to mention here is if the profile isn't perfectly flat and level, it's a good idea to preset your sliders before the glass goes in. For example, if the profile is slightly leaning out, you can just set the sliders to the left or to the right to allow for this. It's good practice to make sure that all the sliders are in the same position, either all to the left or all to the right before you install your glass. That way, all you've got to do is make some fine adjustments instead of having to fully adjust the whole piece. When fitting the glass, it's also a good idea to clean both faces prior to lifting it into place. This reduces the amount of work on the fall side once the glass is installed. Once we've lifted our glass into place, being sure to be accurate when setting out, working from a fixed corner or an end cap. We now need to drop a wedge in to hold it roughly in the right place before we adjust the glass and make it level. We use the FLEXFIT tool to move the slider to the left, sending the glass out at the top, or move it to the right to bring it in at the top. When you're happy, you then need to drive the wedge down into the profile to lock it all in place. A top tip here, with this being a wedge system, like all other wedge systems, you need to allow for a small amount of compression in the gasket and movement in the slider. This comes with experience, but a little presetting when leveling the glass always works perfectly here. It's important to know that the wedge doesn't need sending all the way to the bottom of the profile. This is important for any demounting that may need to happen. The wedge needs setting with a firm strike low enough to allow the gasket to fit over the top of the profile, but not smashed all the way down into the bottom. So the glass is now level, the wedges are all locked in place, and the last thing to do is to run the front gasket, or as the instructions say, the D gasket. You start from the corner with a 45-degree cut using some gasket shears, and then push it in by hand, and then simply use a gasket roller to roller it into place. You can use our combi tool for this, or you can use a handheld gasket roller, whichever you'd prefer. Should you need to demount the glass at any point, this can be done using the combi tool. All you need to do is peel the D gasket back out of the place and put the hook under the wedge and give it a few tugs on both sides and the wedge will release. You will then be able to lift your glass out and refit it back in the same way as it was before. The final part is to clean the glass and remove the protective tape from the inside face. So there we have it. That's how easy it is to install our FLEXFIT system. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.